All right, well, let's start with congratulations, Bourbon Hall of Fame.
Well, thank you.
What does that mean to you to be in the Hall of Fame?
You know, when I received that, I really didn't know what it really meant. And to think that I retired in 1997, and this is 2024. What took them so long?
We'll be asking them that question. So let's talk about your storied career and why you're getting this award.
Yeah.
Is you were the first black chemist, I think you told me, male or female, if I remember correctly, at Brown-Forman. What year were you hired there?
In I think it's 1966 or 1967, I forget.
In the 60s.
Yeah.
In the 60s. So you being that trailblazer in that, when you were hired, did you realize that you were breaking barriers?
No, I did not realize. And the reason why I got the job is that I was working at medical and dental research, and it was a co-worker, and her uncle was over the lab at Brown-Forman, and she asked me if I would want to apply for a job, and I said yes, and that's how it all got started.
So when you took the job, you didn't realize that you were a first at something?
No, I didn't. No, there were 4 chemists, and I was the only female black chemist there.
And what was the reception to you at the time? Because that's a tumultuous time when it comes to civil rights and things like that.
Well, you sit down and think about it. When I came out of high school in 1949, I could not go to U of L. They had a black school for students. We called Louisville Municipal College, and that's where Simmons College is now. And so I went there for 2 years, and then in 1951 they closed Louisville Municipal College, and everybody could go to the University of Louisville. Well, I was sending myself to school, so I could not afford the tuition at U of L. So I went to Nazareth.
That's now Spalding.
Which is now Spalding, and I graduated there in 1953.
And it was with a Bachelor of Science.
And you sat down, and I gave you that when I retired, after I graduated, there were no jobs for black African-American women in Louisville. So my first job was as a clerk typist in Indianapolis. I went to live with my aunt, and I worked as a clerk typist at Fort Benjamin Harrison.
And here you are, Bachelor of Science.
Yeah.
You know, math and science seemed to be such a gift to you.
Yes.
And you couldn't find that job.
Yes,
So when you got that job at Brown-Forman, was it a celebration that, okay, my skill sets are going to be utilized?
Well, what's making it even special is that my husband also worked there also, and he was over the dining room at that time. Yeah.
So you were both there.
Yes.
So tell us, were you always good at science and math? Because when I hear chemist, that's a little intimidating to me.
Well, science, art, and math, and they all go together. And when I went to school, I like working with math, and like I tell everybody, everything that's built starts with a dot. You got to draw a line, then you draw another line, and it ends up making a space.
And we're going to talk about your arts in just a little bit, but let's get back to the Brown-Forman job. What was your job day in and day out? When we say a chemist, what was it you did there?
Well, I analyzed, first of all, when I went there, computers were just really coming in, and that's when they had the flat disk. And I also learned Apple. That's when I first learned how to use Apple computers, and I used Apple database. And you sit down and think about that. This was back in the 60s and 70s, and I still use Apple. But you sit down and think about it. Everything you don't realize when you start a job. It was 4 ladies. And it was ended up it was 4 ladies in the lab, and there was 4 or 5 men in the lab. And this past week, the one fella that Brown-Forman was Wesley Hazel, and he came 2 weeks before I did, and we are still friends.
I love that.
And so he's in his 80s, and but also is that when you go on a job, you have to be who you are. I'm the same person every day. We speak and talk about your family and everything. And that's how I've survived, I think.
Just fit right in because you just were, you
Here
were always
I am.
Elmer Lucille.
Take me as I am. Yeah. And I respect you for who you are.
with this Bourbon Hall of Fame, and I've heard you talk so many different times, if there is a lesson that you would teach young people, because when we look to you, we see trailblazer, somebody who is a first at something.
Yeah.
So to young people behind you and on your shoulders we stand, what is the lesson, do you think, of your life that you'd like to share with people?
Well, I think that we're losing a lot of people because they really are doing science and math. Because everything is really based on science and math and art. They all go together.
What would you say to a young person, though, who might be afraid that they might be the first or something along those lines? What do you say to them about if they're blazing their own trail?
Well, go in and join the crowd. In other words, you're not any different. You're working for the same company. And you just have to blend in with the people, with the staff that's there now.
Now tell me, you worked there for 30 years.
Yes, I did.
And then after that, you said, and I love this because you say math and science and art all go together.
Yeah.
But when, I know as a Girl Scout, you loved the arts.
Yeah.
And I think it was, I read in junior high school, you started taking some art classes as well.
Yeah.
Tell me when you, though, really became serious, because you ended up getting your master's in that much later in life.
Yeah, well, first of all, I really got involved in ceramics. I had arthritis in my hand, and they recommended me to go take art classes, where I could use my hand. And that was, and so I started that. That was in the 70s. And my first class was at Seneca High School with an art therapist. And then from there, I went to what you call the mold ceramics, where you have things and you start painting. And then from there, I went to Metro Art Center, which was right there at Dixie Highway and Pages Lane. And I started taking ceramics, and with Melvin Rowe. And then while I was there, and he was working on a master's in ceramics at U of L. And then a young lady named Laura Ross came, and she was also working on a master's at U of L. And so they said, well, why don't you take classes at U of L? So I took my first class at U of L in 1981.
How old were you at that time?
I don't know.
I need to do the math on that, right? But later in life.
Yeah, it was 1981. And then I took my first class at U of L in 1981, and then I just kept on taking part-time classes. So when I retired in 1996 from Brown Forman, I was still taking classes. Well, so they asked me if I would go into the master's program. And I said, oh yes, I'll do that. And so I graduated with a master's in 2002. And in order to get a master's in ceramics, I had to take another art class. And I took fiber. So I got a master's in ceramics and fiber. And I graduated in 2002 from U of L. And I'm still taking classes. And I took my first class for this semester last night.
And how was it?
Oh, it was fun. It's a new teacher. And my first teachers were Tom Marsh and Jenny Marsh. But now this is another young lady. The first time I've even met her was this past week.
Now I have to ask you, when you come into a class, because we should say you're getting ready to turn 93 tomorrow as we videotape this. So happy birthday.
Thank you.
We want to make sure that. But here you are, 92, 93 years young, walking into a class.
Yes.
What's the reaction to you?
Well, first of all, they're surprised that I'm black. And then they're surprised that I'm that old and I'm still able to walk and talk and do computers and stuff like that. And I think there's either a Japanese or Chinese young man, and it's about 7 people in the class. And then there's another gentleman who's in his in his 80s, is tan black. And so he's the one that he already knew me. He's the only one.
They all know you, right?
But it's just really nice because you learn from everybody, and you just fit in, and here I am.
I would have to say, when I looked at a lot of your titles, when I was doing my little homework on you, one thing that struck me, and I wonder if you think that has to do with your longevity and your happiness, because you're always a bright light when people are around you. It said lifelong learner.
Well, I think, and also I think you have to leave your house. See, you have to go out and interact with people. And then I've been involved in the community all my life, I was a Girl Scout, back, and I have to send you a picture because it was appeared in a Carroll Journal back in the late 40s or early 50s.
We've got that picture. I
early
know
40s.
that picture.
You got that
Yeah.
picture. And I sold the most Girl Scout cookies.
So you were competitive.
but I like working in the community. And what is so strange is that I'm working with another group, the Black Kentucky Bourbon. And they want to do a scholarship. They want me to review. They've been giving scholarships out, and they want me to review what their criteria are. Well, you have to volunteer. You have to be involved in the community. You need to take science, art, and that's what you just can't go and take English. And you have to interact with people.
Is that your secret, though, the fact that you keep learning, you just keep going?
Yeah, that is the key. You have to leave your house, see people, and you see people that are younger than you are, I learn from them, and then they learn from me, because there are things that they do I might not know how to do. Yeah.
You don't seem to be intimidated by
Nothing
much.
bothers me.
If we had to say, Elmer, Lucille, we want to know what you think your legacy is, what would you say it would be?
Being with people, interacting, and being yourself. Yeah, you have to be who you are. When you walk into a room, I'm Elmer Lucille, and I'm here to learn.
Here to learn,
Yeah.
lifelong learner.
Uh-huh.
What is your birthday wish at 93?
Well, like I say, tomorrow's not promised. So you live each day to the fullest. And I could be here today, but I don't have to be here tomorrow, even to celebrate my birthday. That's what life is, because God is still in control. Tomorrow's not promised to us. I thank God every day I get up, put my feet on the ground, and that I can leave home. I use Tart 3 to take me where I have to go now, because I no longer drive.
But you still are everywhere. Well, we just want to say happy birthday, and we love you.
Okay, thank you so very much.
And congratulations on your Bourbon Hall of Fame.
Oh, thank you.